In the aftermath of World War I, Germany lay in ruins. The Treaty of Versailles had imposed harsh penalties on the defeated nation, leading to economic collapse, political instability, and social unrest. It was in this atmosphere of disillusionment and despair that the seeds of the Nazi Party were sown. In 1919, a small political group known as the German Workers' Party, or DAP, was founded in Munich. Among its early members was a young, ambitious man named Adolf Hitler. Under Hitler's influence, the party underwent a transformation. In 1920, it was rebranded as the National Socialist German Workers' Party, NSDAP, or Nazi Party, with a radical platform that combined extreme nationalism, anti-Semitism, and anti-communism. The early years of the Nazi Party were marked by fervent nationalism and a growing sense of grievance among many Germans. Hitler's charismatic leadership, fiery speeches, and impassioned rhetoric resonated with disaffected individuals, drawing them into the party's fold. In November 1923, Hitler and the Nazis attempted to seize power in what became known as the Beer Hall Putsch. The coup, however, failed, and Hitler was arrested and sentenced to prison. It was during his time behind bars that Hitler penned his infamous manifesto, Mein Kampf, outlining his vision for the future of Germany and the world. In it, he laid out his racist ideology, his plans for territorial expansion, and his hatred of democracy and communism. Despite the setback of the failed coup, the Nazi Party continued to grow in influence, tapping into the discontent and frustration of many Germans who felt betrayed by the post-war order. Through a combination of propaganda, intimidation, and political maneuvering, the Nazis steadily increased their support among the German population. By 1923, the stage had been set for Hitler's rise to power, and the Nazi Party had firmly established itself as a force to be reckoned with in German politics. The years of struggle and strife had only served to strengthen their resolve and fuel their ambitions. In 1928, the Nazi Party faced a significant setback in its quest for power. Despite its growing presence in German politics, the party performed poorly in the Reichstag elections, gaining only 2.6% of the vote. The election results came as a surprise to many observers, as the Nazi Party had been steadily increasing its influence and support in previous years. Adolf Hitler's charismatic leadership and the party's nationalist anti-Semitic message had resonated with a significant portion of the population. However, despite their efforts to mobilize supporters and expand their reach, the Nazis failed to make significant gains in the 1928 elections. The party's share of the vote was minuscule compared to other political factions, including the Social Democrats and the Communists. Despite their disappointing showing in the 1928 elections, the Nazi Party remained undeterred in its pursuit of power. Adolf Hitler and his followers continued to refine their strategies, learning valuable lessons from their setbacks and preparing for future opportunities. The years between 1929 and 1933 were a tumultuous period in German history, marked by economic crisis, political upheaval, and the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party. In 1929, the Wall Street crash sent shockwaves through the global economy, triggering the Great Depression. Germany, already grappling with the aftermath of World War I, was hit particularly hard. Unemployment soared, businesses collapsed, and families struggled to make ends meet. Amidst the economic turmoil, support for extremist parties like the Nazis grew. Adolf Hitler's message of national revival and scapegoating of minorities resonated with many Germans who were disillusioned with the existing political establishment. By 1930, the Nazi Party's electoral support surged to 18.3% in the Reichstag elections. The Nazis capitalized on public anger and frustration, promising to restore Germany's greatness and reclaim its place on the world stage. However, the rise of the Nazis was met with resistance from established political forces, who viewed Hitler and his followers as dangerous extremists. Despite their electoral gains, the Nazis were still considered fringe players in German politics. In 1932, Adolf Hitler ran for president of Germany but was defeated by the incumbent Paul von Hindenburg. However, the Nazi Party continued to gain ground in the Reichstag, becoming the largest party in the parliament. The following year, in 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. His ascent to power was facilitated by a series of political maneuvers, including the Reichstag fire, which Hitler used as a pretext to crack down on political opposition. The Reichstag Fire Decree and the Enabling Act were passed, granting Hitler sweeping powers to govern by decree and effectively dismantling democracy in Germany. The Nazi Party became the only legal political party, and Hitler's dictatorship was firmly established. The events of 1933 marked the beginning of a dark chapter in German history. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis had achieved their goal of seizing power, setting the stage for the horrors of World War II and the Holocaust. The year 1934 marked a significant turning point in the history of Nazi Germany, as Adolf Hitler solidified his grip on power and eliminated potential rivals within the Nazi Party. Following the death of President Paul von Hindenburg in August 1934, Adolf Hitler merged the offices of Chancellor and President, assuming the title of Führer und Reichskanzler, or Leader and Chancellor. This consolidation of power effectively made Hitler the supreme ruler of Germany. With his newfound authority, Hitler wasted no time in asserting his dominance over the Nazi Party and the German state. In June 1934, he ordered the Night of the Long Knives, a brutal purge of potential rivals and dissenters within the party. During the Night of the Long Knives, Hitler targeted individuals he perceived as threats to his leadership, including high-ranking officials such as Ernst Röhm, leader of the SA Sturmabteilung, and other members of the party's paramilitary wing. The purge resulted in the deaths of scores of individuals, as well as the arrest and imprisonment of thousands more. Hitler used the opportunity to consolidate his control over the Nazi Party and eliminate any potential challenges to his authority. The Night of the Long Knives solidified Hitler's position as the unchallenged leader of Nazi Germany. It also served as a warning to any who dared oppose him, demonstrating the ruthlessness and brutality of his regime. In the aftermath of the purge, Hitler's power was virtually unassailable. He had successfully eliminated internal dissent and cemented his status as the absolute ruler of Germany, setting the stage for the further consolidation of Nazi control and the escalation of repression and persecution. In 1939, the world was plunged into chaos as Germany invaded Poland, marking the beginning of World War II. Adolf Hitler's aggressive expansionist policies had finally ignited the conflict that would engulf the globe in 6 years of devastating warfare. Germany's rapid military successes in Europe seemed to validate Hitler's strategy of blitzkrieg or lightning war, as Poland fell swiftly under the might of the German war machine. The invasion of Poland drew Britain and France into the conflict, sparking a wider conflagration. By 1941, Hitler's ambitions had led Germany to invade the Soviet Union, breaking the non-aggression pact signed between the two nations. The invasion of the Soviet Union opened up a two-front war for Germany, stretching its resources thin and straining its military capabilities. Despite initial successes, including the capture of key cities and vast territories, Germany soon found itself mired in a brutal and protracted conflict with the Soviet Union. The harsh Russian winter and the determined resistance of the Soviet people began to take its toll on the German forces. By 1942, the tide of the war began to turn against Germany, particularly after the Battle of Stalingrad. The brutal siege and eventual defeat of the German forces at Stalingrad marked a significant turning point in the Eastern Front, signaling the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany's dominance in the war. The events of 1939 to 1942 underscored the limits of Hitler's expansionist ambitions and the folly of Germany's overreach. Despite early victories and territorial gains, the relentless resistance of Allied forces and the resilience of nations like the Soviet Union ultimately spelled doom for the Nazi regime. In 1944, the failed assassination attempt on Adolf Hitler by Klaus von Stauffenberg and other conspirators underscored growing dissent and opposition within Nazi Germany. The plot, known as Operation Valkyrie, aimed to overthrow Hitler and negotiate a separate peace with the Allies. Despite the setback, Hitler's grip on power remained firm as the war entered its final stages. In January 1945, Soviet forces launched a massive offensive, pushing deep into German territory and advancing towards Berlin. By April 1945, Allied forces had also reached Berlin, encircling the city and closing in on Hitler's bunker. Faced with imminent defeat, Hitler retreated into his bunker and on April 30th committed suicide alongside his wife Eva Braun. With Hitler's death, the final days of the war saw chaos and desperation in Nazi Germany. On May 7, 1945, Germany surrendered unconditionally, officially bringing an end to World War II in Europe. The collapse and defeat of Nazi Germany marked the culmination of years of sacrifice, suffering, and struggle. Millions had perished, entire cities lay in ruins, and the world was forever changed by the horrors of war. In 1946, the world bore witness to the beginning of the Nuremberg trials, a landmark effort to hold accountable those responsible for the crimes of the Holocaust and the atrocities committed during World War II. Major war criminals and Nazi leaders were prosecuted for their roles in orchestrating genocide, crimes against humanity, and waging aggressive war. The trials sought to bring justice to the victims and send a powerful message that such atrocities would not go unpunished. The establishment of the Federal Republic of Germany in 1949 marked a significant milestone in the post-war era. Commonly known as West Germany, this new democratic state emerged from the ashes of the Nazi regime, signaling a break from the dark legacy of the past. The creation of West Germany represented commitment to democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. It was a testament to the resilience of the German people and their determination to build a better future in the aftermath of the war. As the world grappled with the aftermath of World War II, the Nuremberg trials and the establishment of West Germany served as important steps towards healing and reconciliation. They provided a framework for addressing the crimes of the past and laying the foundation for a more just and peaceful world.